Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Kingdom Come Deliverance, Blind. Let me go to bed, and I imagine soon the assault on Talmberg will begin, so let me sleep until like noon, because they are currently bombarding it with the trebuchet. But you know, how long can they do that for? Like, I assume a couple of days, not a couple of weeks, because it would be pretty boring to wait a couple of weeks in game. They have already been doing it for a day, so yeah, Sir Robard is expecting me, so I guess they are done. Oh. I woke up on the field because I was sleepwalking. I'm also a bit hungry, actually. But seeing how I am going to battle, I will put on my helmet.
I'll have to get something to eat. I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah.
I actually went quite a distance from the encampment, because I was at the one with the trebuchet, which is all the way on the other side. Oh, I even saw it. This time I saw it hitting the walls, and there were like chunks of stone falling. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let me grab something to eat quickly. And now let's talk with Sir Robard.
Since Sir Divish's colours still aren't flying over Talmberg, I suppose we'll be attacking.
Just so. That Istvan's a stubborn bastard.
Alright, when do we start?
There's no reason to wait. Are you really ready? If you need to rest or anything, we can still wait. You won't have another chance until we've won the day. Or until your final rest.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Glad to hear it. We're going to attack on two fronts. The north gate and the west wall, which will scale with ladders. The attack will be split into different stages. Taking the outer walls, the inner bailey, and finally the core of the castle and the tower.
How are we going to attack the gate?
We'll try to do as much damage as we can with the trebuchet first. Keyser claims he can even hit it directly. Even if that's true, we'll have to charge through a downpour of enemy arrows all the way to the portcullis.
Portcullis?
Fortunately, it's wooden, so we'll be able to break it down. But dealing with the defense in the bailey won't be easy.
And what's the plan for attacking the west wall?
First, we have to get men to the wall with ladders, which is no easy matter under fire, so we'll need as many men covering them as possible. As soon as the ladders are in place, our foot soldiers will run up and try to scale the wall. Once a few of them get to the battlements, we should quickly gain the upper hand.
How will we take the battlements?
Either by scaling the west wall, or our men at the gate will help. If they can break through, that is.
And the inner bailey?
That will be tough. Even if we get through the gate and into the outer bailey, we're still a long way from victory. The castle is designed so we'll be like hens in a coop to anyone with a bow on the inner battlements. We'll have to either fight our way through, or somehow get around them.
What about the living quarters?
There, I'm worried most about the hostages. Once we're inside, Istvan will know defeat is inevitable, but we'll still have to fight for each and every room.
I think I've heard everything I need to know.
Do you want to join the attack on the walls or on the gate? Remember, many of the Skalitz men will follow you. It could make a big difference.
I'll help with the attack on the walls.
I'm proud of you, Henry. You've changed from an insolent pup into a tough, reliable fighter. And as God is my witness, we will kick those whore sons' arses.
A village lad and an old soldier? Istvan must be shaking in his boots.
If he's not shaking, then he doesn't know what he's got coming. Just one last thing, though. No matter how good the plan is, something always gets fucked up. Keep your eyes open and take advantage of every chance. Help your comrades, and don't go rushing in where you're outnumbered. We have to take the castle gradually, one position after another.
I'll remember that.
Good luck to you, stripling.
Good luck to you, old soldier.
Take care.
Okay, who's... Yeah, okay, they've got the ladders. I was wondering about that, you know?
Shield, for fuck's sake! Come for shield! Wait till we raise the ladders!
Okay, I can be the first to scale the walls, which perhaps I shouldn't be. Like, it's not exactly... No, to be honest, the first man, like, the literally first man who had to scale the walls was probably fucked. But I'm the protagonist of the game, so I think I should be alright.
Smash them! Clear those battle mats! Charge them from the rear!
Oops, I didn't really want to do that.
Sir, we should give the order.
Let's see if Istvan Toth can worm his way out of this one.
Don't tempt fate, Hanush.
Istvan! It's over! You want us to come and get you?
I wouldn't advise that. Your friend Divish wants to see his wife alive again.
And Sir Radzig? Are both hostages unharmed?
For now, Hanush, unless circumstances change.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. My guest is also safe and sound, but he's also quite keen to go home. I imagine you feel the same way. It's been a long time since you warmed yourself at your own hearth.
I'm in no hurry. I've plenty of supplies here, grand view and excellent company. What more could I want?
Your freedom!
Freedom? Freedom to get an arrow in the back?
Sir, we're all noblemen here, all bound by honor. I give you my word as a knight and lord, and that of my companions. If you release Lady Stephanie and Sir Radzig, you may leave the castle with your men and go on your way unharmed.
And just how far will we get? What good will it do me if your men attack us in the woods instead of here?
If you give me your word of honor that you will leave and never return, I promise you safe passage to the boundary of this fiefdom. What happens after that is up to you and the will of God Almighty.
Very well then, but I want a small safeguard. I'll give you her ladyship, but Radzig comes with me. I'll release him in Skalitz.
Out of the question! Is our word not good enough for you?
Is mine not good enough for you? I swear I'll release him when I get to a safe distance.
I'll go with him, Hanush. Let the Lady Stephanie have her freedom now.
Father!
Don't worry, son. I trust Lord Toth's self-interest more than his word. He wouldn't be fool enough to harm me.
If you're certain, Radzig.
Prepare horses and supplies, and tell your men to pull back. We'll come down.
You heard him. Get to work. And any man who breaks this truce answers to me.
So, are you really going to let them go?
My word is my bond, Henry.
He's a cutthroat and a liar. Good men are dead because of him. What's to stop us from skewering him as soon as he sets foot outside?
Our honor.
If you let him go, he'll do the same again. Or worse.
God's justice will find him. And then, he'll get a taste of my mace.
If we break our word of honor, we have none. And without honor, we are nothing. Never fear. Your father will be all right.
We'll hunt down those vermin yet.
Bring the horses.
Here she is, as I promised. Not a hair on her head harmed.
Divish!
Stephanie.
Forgive me, husband. I'm sorry
For what?
for letting them into the castle.
Come now, my dear. You're not to blame.
I didn't know who he was. He said he was your friend.
Never mind. Did he hurt you?
No.
I hope your word can be trusted.
Certainly more than yours.
If everything goes as agreed, I'll set Radzig free in Skalitz. If anyone tries to follow us, I'll kill him.
We won't.
My apologies for keeping you from your father, but you'll see each other soon enough. Oh, I almost forgot. Your sword. I expect you'll want it back after all the trouble you went to. Actually, you know what? I think I'll keep it. As a memento.
This isn't over. I'll find you.
I look forward to it. Yeah!
Quick! To the battlements! We have to see which way they go! Oh, they really are heading for Skalitz. Mount up, Henry. You've heard what he'll do if we follow them. We're not going to follow them. We just have to collect your father. Or do you want him to walk back here when they release him?
Okay, seeing how the heaviest fighting is done, maybe I won't need the helmet anymore. I must say, Sir Hans's armor is pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
How long have we known each other? A few weeks?
Something like that.
Before that, I was chasing wenches around Rattay and you were digging turnips. And now look at us. A pair of veterans.
I was an apprentice blacksmith, not a turnip digger.
Same difference, you silly bugger. Yeah.
What will you do now?
Not long ago, I only made plans 3 days ahead at most. Maybe I really could do something for Rattay and its people. Something really big. But there'll be plenty of time for that later. What do you think? Will Toth keep his word?
He's a noble, right?
Yes. So am I.
Sir Radzig will be there. What should I say to him?
Don't worry. It'll come to you. You'll see.
Well, I just hope he'll be there. Alive.
The way you found Tom, sneaking into Brannick all on your own. Well, what I mean is, hats off to you, Hal. You wouldn't catch me doing that.
Truth is, I didn't think much about it. I just felt I had to do it.
There's no sign of them. Move on. There! I'm glad to see Istvan kept his word, sir.
Not half as glad as I am, Your Grace.
Well, we kept our word too. And now Toth has had his head start and he's fair game. Which way do they go?
To the north, but I would be careful, Sir Hans.
Fear not, Your Grace. I have twice as many men as he. Well, I won't keep you any longer. I'm sure the two of you have a lot to say to each other. Let's go!
You all right, Father?
I am. They treated me quite decently. Although they did steal my horse, so I'll have to go back on foot.
It looks like it's all over.
Not by a long shot. It won't be over until we get this mess cleared up.
And catch that bastard. How could we let him go?
Would you rather we killed him? Even if it meant Lady Stephanie and I died too?
No, of course not. But what was to stop us from killing him after the exchange?
Honor?
Honor?
If the word of honor of a nobleman could not be trusted, then he would never have agreed to the exchange.
And where's the honor in abandoning your son?
You know how it is. We were young. It happened. And I couldn't marry a commoner. Then your father, Martin, came along and took care of both of you.
He knew it.
What? That I was your father? Certainly. He was a great man. He took you as his own. And always kept an eye on you. Of that you can be sure.
I know so little about his past.
He told you nothing? Oddly enough, even though you don't have his blood, you're very like him. When he was around your age, he became bored of his trade and set out to see the world. He lived through many adventures, even fought in a war.
In a war?
Yes, in Poland, I believe. And I don't think he cared much for it.
That's why he wanted me to stay at home.
He spent some time in Prague, then settled in Kuttenberg. But it seems he quarreled with someone there and finally ended up here. You know the rest.
I loved him, but even so, I somehow always had a feeling I didn't quite fit in.
It was in your blood, I suppose.
I lost the one thing I had left from him. Your sword.
Ah. The sword. It's not my sword. It's yours. For a moment there, it was so near, yet so far. Oh, well, it can't be helped.
It was almost within my grasp, but just then I had something else on my mind.
Well, I think we may yet have a chance to get it back. This business with Toth is not yet over, unfortunately.
That's a chance I'd welcome. Not just to get the sword, but that bastard Istvan too. And then I'll find that German whoreson who torched Skalitz, and I'll slay him with it. I'll never forget his face. Or his name. Margrave von Aulitz.
Those are noble intentions, son. But don't forget there are other things in this world that are worth living for.
Like what?
Look around you. Blue skies overhead, green grass underfoot, beautiful girls. Good wine, a few good friends, and a fine steed under your backside. Those are things worth living for. Though I can't deny that swine who killed your mother must pay for what he did. But it's better not to dwell too much on that at the cost of those other things. On the subject of steeds, I think we'll have to ride like the Knights Templar.
How's that?
2 up. One day I'll tell you how they got their seal. You can take the front. It's like I always imagined it would be, teaching my boy to ride. Although it would be better if you were a little smaller. My word, it's all go today, isn't it? I wonder who this is.
I think I know. It's Margrave Jobst.
The king's cousin? I wonder what he wants. I guess we'll find out soon enough.
Wait, how can this be the end? Like, really? There is no, like, I'm not going to actually meet with Margrave Jobst and see what he's about, like, why did he come here, what are his plans or anything. I'm pretty sure, like, I was pretty sure I would have a chance to talk with, like, you know, Sir Divish, Lady Stephanie, Sir Hans, Lord Hanush, before the game ends, but apparently not, unless this is like a fake ending, and then there's going to be an after credits scene in which some of those things actually happen. I would like that to happen, and in fact I am a little afraid to start my sort of review section right now, because if that were to happen, it's going to be all chopped up. So I don't know. I guess generally, for now, in short, I can say that I absolutely loved this game. This is exactly the type of game made with a player in mind like me. I didn't care for the fact that the pacing of it was like absurdly slow. This is probably the longest game I have played. I've been playing it for months, and it has been like 150 hours. And like for a solid majority of it, I was thoroughly entertained. Like, I was a bit annoyed by me getting lost all the time, but that's not the game's fault. I'm just retarded and can't use the map properly. So like it's hard to blame the game for that. But other than that, like, I am astonished by the fact that this is actually the first game that Warhorse Studio has done. Like, obviously the people who worked on it, they worked on other games before. You know, for example, many of the people involved with this game, they actually made the Mafia series, or at least the first one. But I am kind of astonished by the fact that, you know, as Warhorse, this was their first project, and it's such an ambitious game in scope that it kind of blows my mind that they accomplished that. It was kind of junky at times, and like you know, there were some bugs with clipping and the like, but I've not encountered, apart from that one infinite loading screen, I have not encountered any really serious bugs that would prevent me from completing quests or like advancing the game. So overall, I'm definitely impressed with how much stuff there is in this game. Oh, they have a separate credit for just people screaming. Oh, and they have all of the children born during the production of the game. No real animals were harmed during the development of the game. Okay, so what else? Yeah, definitely very impressed with this game. I loved it. I had a lot of fun. And I'm really hoping for a sequel, especially because it's structured in a way which strongly suggests that there is going to be a sequel. You know, that there is going to be something more about Henry searching for Markfart von Aulitz and actually avenging his mother and his foster father. So I am very much looking forward to the next game, because if they could already accomplish so much with this first game, I'm genuinely interested and genuinely excited to see what they can come up with in the sequel. Yeah, what else can I talk about in the meantime? Because I'm not sure whether there is going to be an after credits scene, but if not, then I can say that like I sucked at this game's combat pretty much all throughout. I never got actually good, but I kind of respect what it wanted to do, because one-on-one the duels were kind of impressive, and when more people attacked you, it was kind of unplayable for me. But I think it was supposed to be like this, because especially in those larger battles, I really felt sort of the chaos of the situation. I really felt confused. I hit my own allies a couple of times, which to me simulated pretty well the conditions of a real medieval battlefield, because obviously everyone was screaming, you had your visor down, so your vision was limited, you know, everybody was dirty, they were wearing different colors, but sometimes it was difficult to distinguish between the sides fighting. So I definitely felt the chaos of a battle, and I think that was supposed to be like that. I was never good at the combat, but I recognize what it tried to do, and I respect that. And like the true testament to this game is that you know, despite sucking at so many elements of it, I still wanted to play more of it. Because just the world, especially the forests, like the forests in this game are probably the best forests I have ever seen in a video game. They were like startlingly real. I got lost in them like 100 bajillion times, but I never really got angry at that because that's just such an immersive feeling of getting lost in a forest. So I loved that, and generally, the side quests were also great. For example, the side quests with Sir Hans were hilarious. Sir Hans himself as a character was quite hilarious. I liked him. He grew on me very quickly because he was a bit of a twat, but I never had the sense of it coming from like a bad place. It was more the fact that he didn't really know better because he was ridiculously privileged. But I think he was really a good person. He just didn't really understand like the fact that, for example, Henry's lived experiences were like absolutely different from his, and but despite that, he remained sort of an actual human being. Which I see he understood that sort of by the end. By the end, he was mostly like joking when calling him a peasant. Like, I didn't sense any actual malice in it. It was more banter. And Sir Hanush was a pretty cool character as well. The fact that he was illiterate and he sometimes didn't really know what was going on, but he was the Lord and he had this loud and boisterous kind of personality. And the side quests were really great. As I said, for example, the side quest with Father Godwin, with the libation in the inn, the music and all that, the atmosphere was great. But also some small ones. For example, the one with the heretics was nice when you helped them escape from the papal, what's his name, vicar. And then there was this quest with the witches in the forest, where you got high on some ointment and saw actual demons and whatever. Even the really small things, for example, I kind of enjoyed the treasure maps because they were very they were very representative of what a real map could be. They weren't very exact. You had to do some, you had to use your imagination, and you had to make some assumptions about, distances, for example, and all that. I liked that. But generally, there was just so much to do in this game. It took me 150 hours around that time, probably, to finish it. And, like, for a solid majority, I was having a blast, and I wasn't really, because there were fetch quests, for example, with the food, but I wasn't even doing that most of the time. There were actual, honest to God, good side quests nearly at every turn. For example, that's not a side quest, but I wanted to devote a bit of time to the quest in the monastery, because it was great. I loved the concept of it, but I am a little bit disappointed because I think they could have done more with it. They could have expanded it with more things to do inside the cloister, because in the end it turned out I was mostly skipping time while waiting for the particular hour brackets to run out. But the very concept of it was great, and some of the immersion, for example, I loved the Gregorian chants in the church, in the monastery. I actually liked attending mass just to listen to the singing. So that was great. What else? Yeah, there was a ton of cool stuff to do as far as side quests are concerned. And generally a lot of sort of fun activities, although I would prefer if they expanded the dice a little bit, maybe more tournaments or something, or an ability to bet greater sums of money, because at some point it was pointless to play because I could only bet 100, and that's basically nothing by the end. Yeah, I will for sure write like a longer and more detailed overview of my thoughts on the game, because I really loved it and I think it deserves a longer and more coherent review when I gather my thoughts. So it's going to be in a pinned comment underneath this video, but for now let me just say that I absolutely loved it, and I'm very glad I finally played this game. It's bravo, that's me applauding Warhorse. It's a really good game, and I really like it, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. So let's see what happens if I close the credits. Will something else happen in game, or?
Doing well, son.
Father.
Come now. You know who sired you.
That doesn't matter now. I miss you, Amar. I miss you very much.
You'll be fine. We're proud of you.
For what? I let you down. I lost the sword. I let that bastard get away.
Don't be so hard on yourself. There was nothing you could have done to save us. And someone has to live and carry the torch. As for the sword, it's just a thing.
You didn't want me fighting. Now look at me.
Standing up to evil isn't the same as sowing its seeds. You did what was right. I have to leave you now.
Oh, please.
You know I can't stay.
Will I ever see you again?
God knows. Make her proud.
Don't go.
Don't go. No.
What on earth were you dreaming about? I couldn't wake you, and it's well past dawn. Sir Radzig wants you at the upper castle. The lords are in council with Jobst.
Right. I'll go straight away. What is it?
It's just... I don't know how to address you anymore. All of a sudden you're Sir Radzig's son, hobnobbing with lords and ladies. And here's me, as common as muck.
Oh, give over, you idiot. Do I look like a lord to you?
Not really. You're as much a lord as I am a nun. And I've never looked good in a habit.
Get out of here! Or I'll have you clapped in the stocks.
Okay, so as much as I liked that scene, that dream with my father, I can't help but feel that this game has kind of done my mother dirty. Like, Henry hardly even thought or spoke about his mother past the prologue, and he didn't even dream of her. He dreamt of his father, who wasn't even his real father, but his mother was actually his real mother, and he still didn't care. Like, that's kind of sad to me. I feel sad for her. I would like to eat something, because it would be pretty embarrassing if... Oh, actually, it's also pretty embarrassing that all of my armor is, like, destroyed and torn, and I'm about to appear in front of lords and whatever. I thought I would keep the... I would keep the... I thought I would keep the attire I had in the cutscene, but I guess no such luck. So that they will have to suffer me. Although, to be honest, I might go, if the game will allow me. I might actually go and clean myself up before talking to them. Yeah, but I really feel like the game has done my mother dirty. Like, she seems to be very neglected by the narrative and by Henry himself, which is doubly unfair because, as I said, Martin, you know, the blacksmith, wasn't actually my father, but my mother was my mother. So you'd think Henry would care for that.
Everything for the house. God's blessings. What can I do for you? Good luck.
I'll buy some food. Like some bread. And something else, like a pretzel. Okay, let's repair my actual clothes before I appear in front of all of the lords.
My humble greetings. How may I serve you? God be with you.
I won't even haggle for that. Let it be his good day. Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm glad there is a chance to talk with the others before the game truly concludes. I would feel...
You'll be able to feed the whole family with fresh bread.
I would feel it's a little bit incomplete if I couldn't. Oh, are they in the upper castle? Yes, they are. So just to be sure, they are not here. Nope.
Yeah.
Judy will never believe me. I saw Margrave Jobst. I knew the minute I saw him. It wasn't no ordinary baron. That big company of his in all their finery. Is he still hereabouts, do you know?
I couldn't tell you. He might be up at the castle with their lordships.
I pray he is. It would be grand to see him again. A thing like that happens only once in a lifetime.
True.
Margrave Jobst. Would you credit it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Hal. Are you going to the meeting with Margrave Jobst as well?
I am. What about Istvan? I assume...
That we didn't catch him? No. Because if we had, you'd be the first one to know. Have no fear. We'll get him eventually.
I hope you're right. Anyway, let's go and see what Jobst wants from us.
My lords, Christ's blessings on you all.
And on you, Lord Capon.
And this is my son, Henry.
I didn't know you had a son, Sir Radzig.
It came as a bit of a surprise to young Henry, too.
This gentleman here is John II of Liechtenstein, a member of my council.
I'm honored, gentlemen.
Come join us. Margrave Jobst was just about to tell us the reason for his visit. Your Grace?
I'm sure we're all agreed, Your Graces, that all this unrest must come to an end. This kingdom needs a king.
Question is, which king?
My cousin, Wenceslas IV, who is being held in captivity.
I have to confess, my lord, that your answer surprises me a little. If I'm correctly informed, until recently you sided with your other cousin, Sigismund.
That I cannot deny, and I have always stated my position plainly. But times have changed.
How have they changed, Your Grace?
Sir, there is one thing on which we undoubtedly concur, that King Wenceslas, unfortunately, did not inherit his father's gift for governing. Sadly, his failures have cost Bohemia, the nobles, and our whole Luxembourg family a great deal of money and effort.
How did the king let it go so far, damn it?
It's in his temperament. He cares only for wine, women, and the hunt. A king, in fact, who never wanted to be king.
Then why didn't he just let his brother have the crown?
Young sir, the crown weighs heavy when there are duties to be performed. But to surrender it means giving up great privileges, too.
But he did surrender power to his brother. When things started getting out of hand, Wenceslas appealed to Sigismund for help in restoring order.
What, you're saying Wenceslas invited him here?
This is starting to make my head spin.
Actually, it makes sense when you think about it. Sigismund wanted to re-establish the power of the whole House of Luxembourg. He thought if he helped Wenceslas win the imperial crown, in return his brother would help him become the king of the Romans, and leave the actual reign of Bohemia and the empire to him. Sigismund would govern, while Wenceslas could carry on doing what he was best at, enjoying the life of the imperial court.
Why wasn't Wenceslas crowned Holy Roman Emperor long ago? He was already elected king of the Romans. All he had to do was go and let the Pope put the damn imperial crown on his head.
Who knows? Maybe he'd prefer hunting and consorting with bathhouse wenches to spending time with the Pope.
Well, so would I must admit.
Sigismund's plan seemed sound enough, but it didn't quite work out, did it?
It worked for a while. He and his brother reached an agreement. Sigismund took over administration of the kingdom and began planning Wenceslas's journey to Rome for the imperial coronation. But then Wenceslas realized he would just be a puppet with a crown.
I must say, Margrave Jobst, Wenceslas and Prokop behave rather like naughty children in need of a good clout about the ears.
Sigismund would agree. He was already planning his rule of Bohemia, and all of a sudden, the rug was pulled from under him. I'd say he lost his patience and decided he'd drag Wenceslas to the coronation kicking and screaming if he had to. Just like a naughty child, as you say.
So he abducted him and your brother Prokop too, if I heard correctly.
Correct.
And you helped him do it, if I heard correctly.
Yes, your graces, it's true. I was there when Sigismund abducted Prokop. I thought everything could somehow be settled, that we could make my brother see sense. But Sigismund just wanted to put an end to the dispute once and for all, whatever the cost. There was nothing I could do to stop him. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. The worst of it is that it was all for nothing. Instead of putting a stop to the revolt, it escalated it, and the result is this chaos we have today.
That's true enough, sir. But I must admit now, I'm not sure what your position is. The king is incompetent, but we must protect him?
The simple truth, gentlemen, is that for all of Wenceslas's faults, we have no one else.
So we'll have to make do with his idleness.
People like him, though.
But what can we do now? Sigismund has the League of Lords behind him. Otto von Bergolf, Heinrich von Rosenberg.
The situation has gotten completely out of control. Now even the nobles of the League of Lords are realizing that Sigismund wasn't the right choice.
So now Bergolf is on your side. Are we to assemble an army together with him and face Sigismund on the field of battle?
We're not in Hungary now. Such affairs may be settled elegantly, without unnecessary hostilities or expenses. I have negotiated an alliance with the Hungarian bishops, the Polish, and of course the Czech nobility, against Sigismund. Every day he is losing the ground under his feet, and that's why I need your help too.
What kind of help, though? Sigismund has a massive army, and Rosenberg, Berghoff, and Prague are behind him. Do you have an army you could face him with?
But that's not what I mean at all. There's been a revolt against Sigismund in Hungary, partly due to my efforts, and now he'll have to choose whether he wants to gain the Bohemian crown, which is a very risky enterprise, or hold on to the Hungarian one. He can't have both. And there's a tough struggle awaiting him in Hungary. I'm not sure he'll win, and Rosenberg and Berghoff know it too. They're not stupid. If the Bohemian nobility stands together, they will turn.
We are men of little consequence, Margrave. Radzig here lost everything because of his alliance with Wenceslas. Sir Divish came within a hair of the same fate. Even Rattay is defenseless against Sigismund and the League of Lords.
What's more, your grace, King Wenceslas languishes in captivity in Vienna. He can't rule too well from there.
And what do you propose? To sit with your arms folded till the Bohemian lands are turned to ashes like Skalitz? We have to put a stop to this senseless war.
And do you know, sir, what the true position of the League of Lords is?
I'm not on the best of terms with them at this moment, so you'll have to ask them yourselves.
Yes. Why not? I'll go and visit Berghoff at his castle and we'll see what he tells me.
You know, that's not such a bad idea, young sir.
True. Though a little risky.
I doubt Berghoff would harm a blue-blooded envoy. And you can find out what he has to say about developments and what the League of Lords is planning. Then we'll decide what to do next.
I'll help you compose a letter to him.
I'd like Henry to come with me.
Why not? He's proven himself an able investigator, and he'll also be a good bodyguard if anything should happen.
And I'll send Sir John here to Kuttenberg to be my eyes and ears there. I believe both your reports will help us get a better grip on the situation.
When can you set out?
Just as soon as I've packed my things.
Excellent. Margrave Jobst and I will draft a letter. Get ready, and we'll meet back here.
I expect it would be best to write it in your name as Lord of Lipa.
Quite so, Margrave.
What exactly am I to write?
Oh, what isn't really the issue. The question is how. We need to learn where they stand on liberating the king and ousting Sigismund. If they'll make trouble or join our side, but...
But we have to ask in a way that won't leave Sir Capon being run out of the castle with a whip.
Exactly.
How about writing that you're concerned about current events and that you want to see things settled peaceably, and then ask the opinion of the League of Lords?
Very well said, sir. And what they want to do about freeing King Wenceslas.
Whether they think liberating King Wenceslas IV might contribute to resolving the dispute?
And what they plan to do about the god-awful mess in this country.
What steps they envisage taking to end the pillaging of Bohemia by foreign armies?
I couldn't have put it better myself.
Well, I'd also venture to suggest one more. What is their stance on that is, the initiatives of Margrave Jobst of Moravia and a large part of the Bohemian nobility? Whether they plan to take action against them or support their efforts?
You read my thoughts, sir.
Okay, do they have anything to say, Sir Hanush?
Greetings. What business have you?
Nope.
Goodbye.
Just about the priest in Užice, which, you know, we've already talked about quite a long time ago.
So what do you think of it all, Sir Divish?
I think I don't know what to think.
That makes two of us.
If I didn't know anything about Jobst, I'd say he's right and absolutely truthful. But I've heard too much about him already.
Likewise. But I do feel he's the one with the best chance to put things right.
Well, we'll see what we learn from Bergov. If the League of Lords stands with Sigismund, then our chances pale, in spite of everything Jobst said.
We shall see. We shall see. So, it looks like you're off on a mission.
Yes, I can't wait.
I don't want to dampen your spirits, my boy, but watch out. These are evil times, and who knows what can happen along the way. Not to mention that Bergov is no saint.
Don't worry.
I know. You've shown you can fend for yourself, but do take care. You'll be traveling as Lord Capon's bodyguard. You'll be there to make sure nothing untoward happens to him. Keep your eyes peeled and your ears wide open. What Bergov tells you is one thing, but what you see may be quite another.
Rest assured, Father.
And don't get embroiled in anything else. Just hand over the letter, hear out his reply, and return.
Yes.
Very well. Bergov is at Trotsky Castle. I think you'll find it quite an eye-opener. It's one of the finest castles in the land. It's 3 days' ride from here, so unless you hit a snag along the way, you'll be back soon enough. Any questions?
Oh. Plenty of questions, apparently.
I'm getting a bit lost in the Luxembourg lineage. It all seems a bit too tangled.
The Luxembourgs have ruled the Empire and Bohemia for almost 100 years now. Emperor Charles brought this land to prominence. When he was in power, things had never been so good. Wenceslas and Sigismund are his sons, but by different mothers. Jobst and Prokop are their cousins. They were entrusted with governing Moravia. But instead, they've been in a bitter armed feud for years, and now Sigismund's fallen out with Wenceslas. Wenceslas also had another brother, the youngest, John of Görlitz, who was most probably poisoned. They seem like a hot-blooded lot. It's hard to keep up with their affairs, since they tend to change their alliances from one day to the next.
Who is he really, this Jobst?
The cousin of King Wenceslas. He's the Margrave of Moravia. I admit I don't know what to make of him myself. Until recently, he was allied with the League of Lords. For a time, he even served Rupert of the Palatinate against the king. And now suddenly, he's reversed his position. I don't know what led him to do it, and one can't help being suspicious. It's best to keep a watchful eye on him. But he really is the leader of the resistance against Sigismund these days. We'll just have to see how it all turns out.
He has a very punchable face. He annoys me with his manner of speaking, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be deliberate. He's kind of like a shady character. You don't really know what his allegiance is or what his goals are.
I'm a bit concerned so many people seem to think so little of King Wenceslas. You knew him, didn't you? What's he really like?
Well, there's no straightforward answer to that question. He certainly makes a great hunting and drinking companion, but he can be very fiery and impetuous when things don't go how he'd like them. He never had much of a head for high office. He finds it tiresome. But once a man's grasped the scepter, it's hard to let it go again. You can't just abscond. You've seen for yourself what happens when he disappears for a few months. Better a bad but legitimate king than a bloody war over the throne.
Who is this Prokop that Jobst spoke of?
Jobst's brother, the king's cousin. He and Jobst warred over Moravian supremacy for years. Then they were allies for a while, betrayed Wenceslas and sided with Rupert of the Palatinate. But after Sigismund abducted Wenceslas, Prokop fomented a revolt against him, and Sigismund had him captured. Politics. Make of it what you will. I, for one, can't make head or tail of it most of the time.
The League of Lords and that Berghoff we're off to see. Who are they exactly?
The lords of the powerful houses. Heinrich of Rosenberg, Otto of Berghoff, Heinrich of Radetz, and others. They're unhappy with the way their influence declined after Wenceslas surrounded himself with the lesser orders of nobility. They abducted the king years ago and made him bow to their will. They got away with it that time, and now they've joined forces with Sigismund and done it again. But now it seems that Sigismund's behavior is starting to rub them up the wrong way, so they may well be thinking twice. We'll see what Berghoff has to say.
I don't know all that much about Sigismund.
He's the king's younger brother and king of Hungary in his own right. 7 years ago, he led a crusade against the Turks and was defeated at Nicopolis. Some say it was due to the recklessness of the French knights, most of whom were mercilessly slaughtered. Sigismund is ambitious and capable. He might well make a better ruler than Wenceslas, but he's arrogant, and to our misfortune, brutal. Not long ago, he himself was held captive by the Hungarian nobility. They dislike him as much as some of the Czech and German noblemen do his brother Wenceslas. Ironically, Wenceslas joined forces with Jobst to liberate him. And now this is how Sigismund repays his brother. There's no doubt about it. God does move in mysterious ways.
Rupert of the Palatinate. That's a name I hadn't heard before today.
Rupert is the Prince-Elector of the Palatinate.
What's a Prince-Elector?
The Prince-Electors are dignitaries of the Holy Roman Empire who have the right to elect the King of the Romans, who would then be crowned Holy Roman Emperor by the Pope. Rupert took the title for himself with the help of 3 other Prince-Electors, even though Wenceslas had already been appointed. Some of the nobility in the empire recognized Rupert's claim, but when he went to Rome to be crowned emperor, it turned into a fiasco. Now he's doing his utmost to get Wenceslas to acknowledge him, but so far without success. So, now we have 2 kings of the Romans. Jobst sided with Sigismund for a while, but now he's switched allegiance. He seems to do that quite a lot.
So there are 2 kings of the Romans and 2 popes. That's quite a time to live in.
That young man, Sir John of Liechtenstein. Why is he here?
The Liechtensteins are a powerful Austrian family with estates in Austria and Moravia. Sir John sits on Jobst's council. Since the king's being held captive in Vienna, I suppose it makes sense to have a powerful Austrian house as allies. It could be very useful.
That's about all.
Very well. Take the letter from Sir Hanush. And good luck, son.
Okay, take the letter.
I believe we have written it well, gentlemen.
Without a doubt. No one could deduce from this whether we are Sigismund's allies or foes.
I must travel back to Brno now, but soon I will go to Brandenburg and I will stop here on the way back. By then, Sir Capon should be back and we can discuss how to proceed.
Right. Before you leave, my lord, there is one thing that gives me no rest. Why did Sigismund come as a foe? It makes no sense.
If I may, sir, I think I can explain.
Oh, please enlighten us, young sir.
I live not far from Hungary, where Sigismund reigns. It is a savage country, and the constant war with the Turks has hardened the people. They need a monarch with an iron hand. So when Sigismund felt the wind of revolt, he reacted as he would at home. Only what works on the Hungarian nobles does not work here in Bohemia.
Bringing order is one thing, but slaughtering and pillaging with a horde of barbarians quite another. What purpose does that serve?
But Sigismund did give the Bohemian nobles a chance to take his side. It was only when they refused his ultimatum that he lost patience and took to the sword.
As for the barbarians, he could afford nothing better. The Hungarian nobility would gain nothing from joining his campaign in Bohemia. He didn't have enough coin for a regular army, and so he recruited the Cumans. What he does not pay them, they make up for in plunder.
But in the end, he didn't have enough to even satisfy the Cumans. That's why he raided Kuttenberg and Skalitz. He wanted the silver.
That makes sense.
My lords, how's the letter coming along?
It's done.
Then we can be on our way.
Now remember what we said, boy. All you have to do is deliver the letter, listen to the answer, and come back here. Don't provoke Berghoff in any way.
Provoke? Me? Never, Uncle. We'll be back in a few days. Farewell, your graces. Come, Henry, my men are waiting.
I wish you Godspeed.
I got 80 groschen. Congratulations, you've completed the main storyline. If you like, you can still embark on side quests and activities, or just wander the world. You can end the game anytime afterwards by riding off the map with Sir Hans Capon's squad, which I think I will do, because I have a couple of treasure maps, but at this point, I don't think there's any point in actually looking for that treasure, you know. The game is literally done. So I think I will indeed go with Sir Hans. But before I do, will he ride off without me? I guess... let me check one thing. Is the time stopped when I'm in the inventory? Let's give it a couple of seconds. Okay, I think it is, because I wanted to do one final thing before I end the game, and that is take a look at my stats. So I have main level 20, which is max, strength 20, agility 20, vitality 20, speech 20, defense 20, warfare 19, so a little short of the maximum, bow 15, mace 20, alchemy 17, drinking 12, herbalism and horsemanship at 20, houndmaster 18, hunting 11, lockpicking 16, maintenance 20, pickpocketing 2, which I've never done pickpocketing throughout the entirety of the game, reading 18 and stealth 15, and there is also a statistics tab, so let's take a quick look at that. Time played in Playline, 6.1 days, so over a couple of the, over the last couple months, I have spent 6.1 real-world days playing this game, and I loved it. In-game it was 141 days, so a little more than 4 months, which is ironic because I think that's about how long it took me in real-world terms. Money acquired 319,000 groschen. Most money owned 80,000 at one time. Bandages used 10, vault jumps 108, food eaten 480, meat eaten 1214, fruit, apples, vegetables, drinks Potions, wine 0. Distance traveled 731 kilometers. Distance ridden 493. On foot 238. Distance run 118. Distance walked 8.4. Time slept 28.3 days. I wonder, how does that average? Like, I've spent 141 days in game, and out of this I've slept around 30, so that's like 1/4. That's actually that's a startlingly sort of realistic proportion. Okay, maybe it's actually a little long for a medieval person, but that's like roughly 1/4 of the time I played, of the time that elapsed in the game I've spent sleeping, which would be like par for the course for a modern person, right? Because you would work 8 hours, you would do other things for 8 hours, and you would sleep for 8 hours. Like, the sort of the most common distribution of time for most people who work regular hours. Time skipped 45.3 days. Time bleeding 3.7 hours. Time starving 27 days. Okay. Time exhausted. Times poisoned. Time drunk 7.5 days. So times as alcoholic 0. So I've never fallen into alcoholism during the course of the game. Combat, damage dealt, taken, people and animals killed, 380. That's not really as much as I thought. Enemies killed, people killed, Kumans, 118. Animals, 38, sheep, 0, 18 hares. Enemies killed with a bow, 88. Arrows fired 1,000, and so I guess I needed 1,000 arrows to I needed 1,000 arrows to kill 88 people. That's a little embarrassing, but yeah, arrows hit living target 262. So like I barely had 25% accuracy with a bow. Strikes blocked, perfect blocks performed, master strikes, combos. Crime. Value stolen 59,000 groschen. Items stolen 1,500. Corpse looted 415. Pickpocketed 0. Locks picked 205. Quite a few. Jail time. Wait, jail sentence is 3? How does that happen? I was only in jail once. Unless it also counts the time at the monastery. Like maybe the solitary at the monastery counts as jail. Quests. Completed 94, failed 5, locations discovered 16, art object found 28. Dialogue. Persuasion successes, impression, intimidation, haggle. Money saved by haggling, 8,700 groschen. To be honest, in the end, that's kind of an insignificant number. Craft. Written works examined, 94. Skill books started and finished, 23. Items repaired, 761. Honing attempts, 3. Weapons sharpened successfully, 0. I have never gotten a hang of how, sharpening a sword works, and then I switched to a warhammer, so there was no need to learn that. Potions brewed, 700. Herbs collected, 12,389. which apparently translates to 1,241 kilograms of just herbs. That's hilarious. That's hilarious indeed. Dice games won 31, lost 10, people beaten at dice 19, money won 1,497. That's even more inconsequential than the haggling. Like, imagine, it is a 150-hour game, and over the entirety of the time, I've only made 1500 groschen on gambling. Like, it's insignificant compared to the fact that over the course of the game, I've earned 319,000 groschen. Like, that's ridiculous. But I am ready, so let's go with Sir Hans and wrap up the game. Oh, do I need to talk to him? Or... Like, I was under the impression he would mount his horse and we would go off, but I guess I have to talk to him.
So, can we set off now, Henry?
Yes, let's go.
Of course. I can't wait.
So, to horse! The Lord of Berghoff is bound to be waiting us eagerly. So, how is life as a highborn bastard?
I'm getting used to it.
What about Radzig? Has he accounted for not owning up to you the whole time?
He explained it. All will be well, I think.
Glad to hear it. It's far more acceptable for a nobleman to befriend a noble bastard than a blacksmith's son.
Mind you, don't come to blows with a blacksmith, my young lord. Yeah. What do you think about Sir Jobst and his plan?
Well, I admit all the scheming has me a little lost. I thought Sigismund was the devil, Wenceslas a martyr, those on his side the heroes, and those against him the villains. I believed we'd rescue the king and all would be well again, but now it looks a lot more complicated.
Exactly. I didn't expect the noble lords to be as noble as the angels, but I hadn't expected such a sewer. They behave like children.
I can't fathom how after all this backstabbing they're somehow still on speaking terms.
I don't know either. Beggar's belief. Did you know that King Wenceslas is such a
feckless drunkard? Not really. And to be honest, I'm not sure I wanted to know. I slept better believing my fate was watched over by a wise and powerful monarch.
So did I.
What a dismal world when you can't keep trust in your own king.
On the other hand, times were better with him here than with him gone.
Isn't that the truth?
What do you think of Sigismund?
If I were him, I'd have had enough of my brother even sooner.
But he's a monster. Look at what those hordes of his are getting up to here. What he did in Skalitz.
True enough. On the other hand, if Wenceslas and Prokop hadn't double-crossed him, none of this would have happened.
No one forced him to burn Skalitz.
That's a fact. But he couldn't let them shit all over him either. Not that I'm defending him.
He's a weasel.
No doubt about that.
Do you know anything about Prokop?
Ha! Sir Hanush could tell you a thing or two about him.
Why?
Last winter, a certain Sir Jan Sokol of Lamberg, a well-known knight, or robber baron to some, tried to occupy the city of Iglau, which was on the orders of none other than Prokop.
And what has that got to do with Hanush?
Well, he was there with him. Of course, that's not something to brag about in front of Jobst.
And what was it all about?
They wanted to occupy a city that was on the side of the League of Lords, but despite there being several hundred strong, they didn't take it. For one thing, they couldn't get past the Iglau women, with their pitchforks and cauldrons of hot water.
I would never have thought of Sir Hanush as such a rebel.
And have you heard anything about Rupert of the Palatinate?
A little. He can't manage even to wrest power from a king who doesn't much care for ruling and isn't fighting back. That doesn't seem like a man who has what it takes to rule. And that's all I need to know.
And that Berghoff we're going to see, do you know anything about him?
I haven't heard much good about him, but I have a feeling that some other nobles are quite in awe of him. And his castle is apparently quite impressive. I'll be interested to see for myself.
And what about the League of Lords?
Wealthy, pompous. The king doesn't seem to like them much. He's chosen to let the lesser ranks of the nobility into his circle, men like your father. I admit I don't blame him one bit, but the lords weren't happy about their lost influence, so they put their foot down. If I were Wenceslas, I'd have let them hang after they abducted me the first time, but he gave them seats at the provincial council? Little wonder they're back at their old tricks.
Where are you? Why did he, get off the horse? I'm not sure.
How about it, Henry? Can we go? Are you ready for this?
Yes, let's do it.
Of course. At last I'll get to see more of the country and have a bit of an outing.
Quite. Let's get to it then. I finally have the feeling we're doing something worthwhile. We're helping to save the king.
Instead of saving his drunken majesty, I'd rather find that whoreson who murdered my parents, get the sword back from him, and skewer him with it.
Cheer up, Henry. I have a feeling you'll get your chance one day, and it won't be long in coming. Forward, men! Audentes Fortuna, Iuvat!
Okay, so that truly is the end. That was Kingdom Come Deliverance. I had an absolute blast. It is a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will, as I said, I will write a more extended and sort of thought out review, and I will pin it in a comment below this video. But for now, that's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!